When I ran for judge, I had to reach out everywhere I could with people I felt comfortable with to help me get the votes uh, to become a judge. And in the course of that, I learned that my brother thought that he could get the county administrator there in Hood River at the time, uh, whose name was Azamano. Uh, there's a travel agency here in Portland called Azamano Travel, and a member of that family had gotten into uh, doing government administration and had become the county administrator for Hood River County. And he and my brother, uh, who was working on land use planning issues for Hood River County at the time as a lawyer, they became friendly with each other and worked with each other well. So when I was running, we approached him and asked him if he would endorse me. And he said, yes, he'd like to do that. And he had become aware that back when the Japanese people were being interned, uh, which it always makes me sad how much interned is like interred, buried. They'd been locked up in concentration camps during the war. Well, Dad had done everything he could to help Japanese people who were having to be gone protect their orchards so they'd be there when they got back. And not all of them were able to do that. In fact, I think a lot of them lost their orchards in that terrible, terrible war and reaction to it. But Dad did whatever he could to help. And there were people who remembered that. Uh, and so uh, Azamano wrote this letter. Then there was a woman named Sadami, I don't remember her last name, who was a business manager, bookkeeper for the building I had was renting my law office in, that belonged to the Schlesinger family. And uh, my wife had gotten to be friendly with Sadami, uh, just in things to do with managing our office and so on. And they decided one day to go on a little trip together for a couple of nights and just really enjoyed each other. And she was Japanese. And so uh, I talked with her and I said, is there a way that we can send this letter that Mr. Azamano is going to sign to get that sent to the Japanese people in Multnomah County uh, so they'll know of this endorsement directly? And she said, well, yes, I happen to have the directory for all the Japanese people who have joined up in an association here in Multnomah County. And she said it's very, most Japanese people do belong to this association. But she said, unfortunately, there's a rule that you can't use uh, their you can't use them to advertise things. And then she said, but under the circumstances, uh, you get me I'll give that list to you. And so we mailed that out, and I have no doubt that was a significant contributing factor to my getting elected judge. So that gave me a great deal of added. I didn't need it maybe, but it gave me even more excitement about helping the NATO family settle their problems, their feud, you might say. It also goes back in another way. I was the first uh, uh, Caucasian to date a Japanese woman, I think, in that time. Uh, when I was in high school, the Japanese kids would come to the dances uh, without dates because they were not willing to. None of the white kids were wanting to date Japanese kids. It was the war ended in 45. This was 75, 76. So this is 10 years after the war with Japan was over, and there was still a stiffness and hard feelings. I never heard anybody say anything deeply racist on either side, but there just wasn't any interracial dating until about the time I graduated. Right after I graduated, I dated a woman named Joni Yasui, who I liked a whole lot. And I had thinned fruit for her dad one summer. Uh, his name was Chop Yasui. And her mom and dad seemed okay with their daughter dating me. The problem was that I was uh, 18 and she was 15. And it's hilarious that I'm now married to a woman 17 years younger than I am. But at that time, the difference between an 18-year-old and a 15-year-old, when the 15-year-old had been raised uh, as a proper Japanese girl, she was just too young for me. And it was sad, but I stopped dating her and then started dating exclusively the woman I married. Uh, but anyway, I developed an added appreciation of Japanese people and the Japanese culture by dating her, by working for her father, and uh, he took us into Portland one day, and so I spent the day with him and his wife and his daughter, and it gave me a closer feeling of affinity and appreciation. So that's the rest of that story about me and my wonderful experiences with the Japanese people in Hood River and Portland.